The gentle autumn sunlight filtered through the upscale residential streets of Greenwich. A cool breeze wove its way between the golden-hued trees. In the front garden, vibrant autumn leaves still sparkled with morning dew. "April, it's time to go," called Diana Wilson, glancing at the luxury timepiece on her kitchen island. Dressed in a navy theory pantsuit, she adjusted her pearl earrings as a finishing touch. The townhouse she'd purchased 3 years ago was a refined yet simple space. Even after the divorce, she hadn't regretted choosing this home. "Coming," a cheerful voice responded. 8-year-old April, wearing a pink gingham dress, hurriedly took her last bite of cereal. Next to her lay her piano homework, neatly filed away from the night before. "Don't eat so quickly," Diana cautioned, though a smile naturally played across her lips. In a photo frame adorning the kitchen shelf, 3 smiling faces shone brightly. It was a family photo from their vacation in Martha's Vineyard 2 summers ago, April in the middle, with Diana and her ex-husband Michael on either side. Even after the divorce, she'd kept this photo. She knew April sometimes gazed at it with a smile. The front gates of Greenwich Academy were lined with luxury cars as usual: Mercedes, BMW, Tesla. Diana's Tesla Model Y joined the queue. The annual tuition of $50,000 wasn't cheap, but considering April's future, this investment was worthwhile. "Have a wonderful day," Diana said. "Mom, you're coming to my piano recital with Dad on Sunday, right?" He said he made dinner reservations at Le Penguin. April's eyes sparkled with anticipation. Michael never forgot the small details when it came to their daughter's education. His unwavering paternal love, even after the divorce, supported April's stable growth. "Of course. Dad's really looking forward to it too. I'm sure your performance will be beautiful." They shared a hug before April hopped out, scampering through the school gates. As Diana watched her daughter join her friends, she let out a deep sigh. Lately, a subtle worry had been crossing her mind. Upon arriving at her luxury real estate office on Greenwich Avenue, her phone immediately buzzed. A message from Michael. "All set for Sunday's recital. April's performing third. Let her know not to be nervous. My sister Catherine is coming too." Diana frowned slightly at the last line. Her divorce from her ex-husband, a former pediatrician, had happened 2 years ago in autumn. It had been an amicable separation due to different values. Through mediation, they'd managed to avoid emotional conflicts. They'd arranged joint custody with April's happiness as their primary concern. She spent weekends with her father and weekdays with her mother. For these past 2 years, that routine had remained stable. However, something had been bothering her lately. The presence of Michael's sister, Catherine, had been growing increasingly prominent. Catherine, married to a wealthy investor and living gracefully in Greenwich's prime location, was a perfectionist Vassar graduate who struggled with infertility and showered April with extraordinary affection. Recently, she'd been appearing more frequently in their weekend plans. "Understood. See you in the green room," Diana replied while gazing out the window. The autumn sunlight reflected brilliantly off the glass-fronted buildings in the business district. It would be another busy day. 3 waterfront property viewings worth $50 million. In the evening, she needed to take April to her piano lesson. The fall foliage at Bruce Park was reaching its peak. The smiling faces in the photo frame flickered behind her eyelids. After the divorce, April's smile hadn't changed. That was a source of pride for both Diana and Michael. Which was why these recent unsettling feelings were so troubling. Particularly after weekend visits, April's expression seemed increasingly clouded. She hoped it was just needless worry. By the window of her office overlooking Greenwich's skyline, Diana closed her eyes as if in prayer. Bella Hair Studio stood on a quiet street just off Greenwich Avenue. It was an elegant Victorian-style building painted in white, with soft light streaming through large windows and crystal chandeliers casting refined sparkles. "Welcome, Mrs. Wilson," Lisa Morrison, a stylist with 20 years of experience, greeted them in her professional black attire. She had been handling both Diana and April's hair since the divorce 2 years ago, becoming more than just a hairdresser, almost a maternal figure. "Today we're here for April's trim." "Of course. April, please take your usual seat." April seemed different than usual. Instead of chatting cheerfully with Lisa through the mirror as she typically did, she sat in the chair with an oddly tense expression. As Lisa fastened the white cape around her neck, she spoke gently. "How's your piano practice going? You have a recital on Sunday, right?" "Yes. I'm working hard." April's voice was quieter than usual. "Oh my, your hair seems quite thin." Lisa gently lifted April's hair. Her professional fingers carefully thinned the strands. Suddenly, Lisa's movements stopped. "Wait a moment. Mom, this is..." A frozen silence fell over the room. Lisa's expression changed completely. "Mrs. Wilson, please take a look at this." Diana stood up and moved behind her daughter. Lisa adjusted the lighting and tilted April's scalp to make it more visible. In that moment, Diana's breath caught. Multiple circular patches of hair loss were visible on April's scalp. Each had an unnatural shape, with bare white scalp showing through where the hair was missing. "Mom, don't look." April's voice trembled. Tears welled up in her large eyes, and her small body shook. "April, how long?" Diana's voice shook as well. While blaming herself for not noticing her daughter's suffering, she desperately tried to maintain composure. "Mrs. Wilson," Lisa spoke quietly but firmly. "This appears to be alopecia areata. I recommend seeing a specialist immediately." Lisa took out her phone and scrolled through the screen. "Dr. Sanders at Greenwich Medical Spa specializes in cases like this. Shall I give them a call?" April suddenly cried out. "I don't want to go to Dad's hospital." "Please, Mom, don't tell Dad." The anguished cry tore through the elegant salon's atmosphere. Diana couldn't hide her confusion at such a reaction from April, who was usually bright and rational. "But honey, Dad's a doctor. He cares about you more than anyone." "No." April shook her head violently. "Please, keep it secret from Dad." Her tear-filled eyes mixed fear with pleading. Something was clearly wrong. The weekend spent at her father's house. What was happening there? Why was April so afraid of being examined by her gentle father? Lisa tried to maintain her professional composure while diffusing the situation. "April, it's okay. This is a treatable condition. Many children experience this." While skillfully styling April's hair, she continued. "For now, let's cut it in a way that conceals these areas. I'll add some layers to make it look natural." Diana sighed deeply as she took out her smartphone. Opening the Greenwich Medical Spa website, Dr. Jennifer Sanders' gentle smile on the screen seemed to offer a glimmer of hope. During the styling, April didn't say a word. The salon, usually filled with cheerful conversation, was wrapped in heavy silence today. Outside the window, the autumn sunlight continued to shine brightly, and the laughter of passers-by could be heard. However, in the heart of the small girl in this chair, a dark shadow was quietly spreading that she couldn't tell anyone about. As they were about to pay after the styling, Lisa quietly told Diana. "It might be stress-related. Please watch your daughter carefully. If necessary." Lisa paused momentarily, carefully choosing her words. "You might want to consider consulting a child psychologist." As they left, April held her mother's hand tighter than usual. In that small palm, unspoken anxiety and fear seeped out as perspiration. As Diana started the Tesla's engine, various thoughts swirled in her head. Her ex-husband, with whom she'd maintained a good relationship after the divorce. Her perfectionist sister-in-law Catherine. And her beloved daughter who had kept smiling through it all. What was threatening to disturb this family's balance? As she drove down Greenwich Avenue, every time Diana caught sight of April in the rearview mirror, her heart grew heavier. Regret at not being able to protect her daughter, and determination to protect her from now on, were quietly but surely etched into her heart along with the autumn twilight. The waiting room at Greenwich Medical Spa created a warm atmosphere with its soothing wallpaper and indoor plants. The luxurious spa-like interior seemed to ease April's tension slightly. 15 minutes after checking in, they were shown to Dr. Jennifer Sanders' examination room. The doctor greeted mother and daughter with a warm smile. A pin on her white coat indicated she was a Stanford Medical School graduate. "Hello, April. You're here with Mom today." The doctor first crouched down to April's eye level to speak with her. "May I take a look at your hair?" April nodded silently. Dr. Sanders adjusted her specialized light and carefully examined the scalp. Occasionally, the quiet sound of a special camera photographing the affected areas echoed through the room. "Mrs. Wilson," the doctor began speaking while facing her computer screen after completing the examination. "April is showing symptoms of alopecia areata. In medical terms, we call it alopecia areata." The screen displayed the captured images. Multiple circular areas of hair loss were visible in high resolution. Based on the shape and distribution of the hair loss, this is clearly stress-related. It's an autoimmune response where the immune system attacks the hair follicles. Diana caught her breath. "Stress, but April. This isn't uncommon in children her age," Dr. Sanders continued calmly. "However, the extent of these symptoms developing in such a short time suggests there must be quite significant stress factors." The doctor gently addressed April. "Could you wait outside for a moment? Nurse Sarah will show you a lovely teddy bear." Once April had left the room, Dr. Sanders' expression became more serious. "Mrs. Wilson, have there been any recent changes in your daughter's environment? Bullying at school, changes in home life?" "I divorced 2 years ago, but things have been stable since then. I maintain a good relationship with my ex-husband. She spends weekends with her father." "Yes, every other weekend." "Does April talk about that time?" Diana pondered. "Recently, she's become less talkative about it. When she returns, she seems somewhat less energetic." After a moment of silence, Dr. Sanders carefully chose her words. "Mrs. Wilson, I'd like to refer you to a child psychologist. Dr. Rachel Montgomery. She holds a PhD in child psychology from Yale University and specializes in trauma care. When they left the examination room, April was hugging a large white teddy bear. Nurse Sarah was gently stroking her hair. "Looks like you've made a lovely new friend," Diana smiled. Sarah said, "It's a magical bear. When you stroke it, sad feelings get a little better." Those words pained Diana's heart. The next day, the initial counseling with Dr. Montgomery began at the modern offices of Greenwich Psychological Services. Warm wood-toned interiors with strategically placed plants. Cheerful children's drawings adorned the walls. "April, you can talk about anything here. It will all remain secret." Dr. Montgomery sat across from April at a low table. The child psychologist in her early 50s maintained a gentle smile. Various art therapy tools were arranged on the desk. "Do you like drawing?" April lifted her face slightly. "Yes." "Then why don't you choose your favorite color crayon?" Time passed quietly. April carefully selected colors and began working on the white paper. Her initially hesitant strokes gradually became bolder. "That's a lovely drawing. Is this your family?" "Yes. Dad and Mom and me." Dr. Montgomery focused on the details of the drawing. 3 figures. The expression of the small girl in the center, April herself, was somewhat clouded. "Who is this woman?" April's hand stopped. Her expression hardened when the doctor pointed to another figure drawn at the edge of the page. "Aunt Catherine." The moment she spoke that name, April's voice trembled. "Do you visit Aunt Catherine often?" "Yes, when I'm with Dad." "Is it fun?" April fell silent. She was unconsciously gripping the crayon tightly. "April, remember I promised that anything we talk about here stays secret. I won't tell Dad or Aunt Catherine." The girl slowly raised her face. Tears glistened in her large eyes. "Aunt says. This is our secret." "What is?" "About Dad's new family." Dr. Montgomery's eyebrows moved slightly at those words. "New family." "Aunt says, soon, Dad will have a new family. When that happens, there might not be a place for April anymore." April's voice trembled faintly. "But I don't want to get in Dad's way. So I don't say anything. I pray that Dad can be happy with his new family." The pure thoughts of an 8-year-old girl echoed heavily in the counseling room. Dr. Montgomery gently held April's small hand. In a separate room consultation with the mother, Dr. Montgomery carefully shared the information she had gathered. "Mrs. Wilson, April is experiencing severe psychological stress. The main cause appears to be psychological pressure from her aunt, Catherine." Diana pressed her trembling hands against her eyes. "I didn't notice." "How could I?" "There's no need for self-blame," Dr. Montgomery continued, maintaining her professional composure. "Rather, April was trying to handle this situation alone out of deep love for you and her former father." "Then what should?" "First, we need to continue your daughter's treatment. And..." The psychologist paused for a moment. "A discussion with your ex-husband will be necessary. However, we must prioritize April's psychological safety." As they left the clinic, the evening sky was beautifully tinted. April held her mother's hand tightly. In that small palm mixed unspoken anxiety and a faint hope. As she got into the car and watched her daughter's profile in the rearview mirror, Diana had made up her mind. The autumn leaves in Bruce Park glowed in the sunset. The peaceful autumn evening felt like a prelude to the trials that were about to begin. "Mom," a quiet voice resonated in the car. "I love Dad so much." At those words, tears welled up in Diana's eyes. "I know. And Dad loves you more than anything in the world." The Greenwich streetscape gently embraced mother and daughter. Tomorrow's battle would not be easy. But for the sake of restoring this child's smile, she would do everything possible as a mother. With this vow in her heart, Diana slowly pressed the accelerator. Michael's clinic near Greenwich Hospital was approaching twilight. After the last patient had left, a heavy atmosphere hung in the waiting room. Diana leaned against the reception counter and explained everything to her ex-husband. The discoveries from counseling, April's suffering, and Catherine's words. Michael's expression gradually changed. His usual calmness disappeared, and his professional composure as a doctor crumbled. He sank deeply into an examination room chair, covering his face with both hands. "Why didn't I notice?" His voice was thick with self-reproach. "I feel the same way," Diana said quietly. "But now we need to focus on protecting April." Michael raised his face and looked straight at his ex-wife. His eyes held a father's determination. "I'll talk to my sister immediately. However, I want to avoid direct confrontation. Considering the impact on April." Diana nodded slightly. Dr. Montgomery said the same thing. "April's psychological safety must be our top priority." Michael stood up and walked to the window. Outside, autumn leaves swayed in the evening breeze. "Actually, I've been concerned about my sister." He turned around and slowly began speaking. "Recently, she's been talking frequently about adoption. I knew she was emotionally unstable after failed fertility treatments. But I never thought she would, with April." Just then, the sound of the clinic door opening was heard. "Michael? You're still here." Catherine entered, carrying a Hermès Birkin bag on her shoulder. She appeared to be returning from shopping at luxury boutiques. The atmosphere instantly froze. "We need to talk," Michael's voice maintained its composure. "Please, have a seat." Catherine, sensing the situation, slightly tensed her expression. "I heard about April's hair. It's stress-related, isn't it?" She tried to maintain a natural expression. "Children these days are so sensitive." "Sister," Michael's voice resonated quietly but firmly. "What did you say to April?" "What do you mean?" "About the new family." Catherine's expression froze for a moment. "Surely. April didn't." "She told us everything." Diana stepped forward. "Catherine, why would you say such things? She's only 8 years old." Catherine's voice began to tremble. I just. Suddenly, tears burst from her eyes. "I wanted to be a mother too. For over 10 years, continuing fertility treatments. IVF, all failures." The perfectionist woman dressed in luxury brands collapsed into a chair. "Every time I see April, the happiness I can never have." Michael approached his sister and quietly placed his hand on her. "I understand. You're suffering too. But that's no reason to hurt a child." "What have I done?" Catherine's shoulders shook. "April, such a sweet child." At this moment, the clinic's back door quietly opened. Dr. Montgomery entered, holding April's hand. This was their planned entrance. April shrank back for a moment upon seeing her aunt. However, with Dr. Montgomery's gentle encouragement, she gradually stepped forward. "Aunt Catherine." A small voice echoed through the silent clinic. Catherine looked up. Her makeup was smeared, her eyes red and swollen. "April. I'm sorry. I. Her voice choked. The mask of the perfectionist woman was about to crumble completely. "I love Dad so much," April continued with a trembling voice. "But I love you too, Aunt Catherine." Those words took all the adults in the room by surprise. Michael slowly approached his daughter. He knelt down to meet April's eye level. "April, you are my most precious treasure. But when Dad gets a new family, no matter who comes, you will always be my precious daughter." Michael held his daughter tightly. Tears flowed freely from April's small body. "Dad. Dad." Beside them, Catherine slowly stood up. With her makeup-stained face, she turned to her sister-in-law Diana. I'll get counseling. Dr. Montgomery, would you please?" The psychologist quietly nodded. "Let's explore new paths together, including the possibility of adoption." Outside the window, the sunset was painting the sky red. Long shadows stretched across Greenwich's streets. Inside the clinic, a small family's new story was quietly but surely beginning. "Well, shall we go home?" Michael gently wiped the remaining tears from April's cheeks. "How about dinner together tonight? I made reservations at Le Penguin." "Really?" April's eyes lit up. "Yes, let's go," Diana answered with a smile. "Catherine, you too." Catherine showed a hesitant expression, but April extended her small hand. "Aunt, will you come with us?" At that pure smile, tears welled up in Catherine's eyes again. This time, they were tears of new hope, not remorse. In the car heading to Le Penguin, April sat between her parents. Her small hands firmly held both her father's and mother's hands. In the back seat, Catherine quietly smiled. Greenwich's street lights were beginning to illuminate one by one. The autumn evening was slowly bringing hints of winter. At this changing of seasons, a small family's new bonds were surely beginning to sprout. Dr. Montgomery stood alone by the window of Michael's clinic. "The road to recovery has only just begun," she whispered quietly. "But this family will surely overcome it." The shadows of people walking on the street gradually melted into the night's darkness. A new night was about to fall on Greenwich. December in Greenwich was wrapped in soft snow. The illuminations on Greenwich Avenue gently reflected off the white snow surface. The door of Bella Hair Studio opened with a pleasant sound. "Look, Mrs. Wilson." Lisa proudly held up the mirror. "April's hair has grown back so beautifully." April's hair reflected in the mirror was remarkably lustrous compared to 3 months ago. The circular bald patches were barely noticeable. "Really?" Diana touched her daughter's hair with overwhelming emotion. "Hey, Mom," April exclaimed happily. "Can we all decorate the Christmas tree together this year?" "Yes, of course." Regular counseling with Dr. Montgomery. Rebuilding the relationship with Catherine. And above all, the gradual healing of April's heart. These 3 months had been a period of significant change for the entire family. Mother and daughter enjoyed Christmas shopping at Richard's luxury boutique. April was seriously selecting a present for her father. Dad always uses his stethoscope, how about this? April pointed to a stethoscope case made of fine leather. That's lovely. Dad will definitely be pleased. In the adjacent window, Catherine's reflection was visible. She was watching the two from a slight distance. After 3 months of counseling, she too had gradually changed. "Catherine," Diana called out. "Would you help us choose?" After a moment's hesitation, Catherine slowly approached. "April, may Aunt help too?" "Yes." Faint tears glistened in Catherine's eyes. She had recently begun adoption procedures. She had taken a step toward the possibility of a new life. The three of them selected Christmas dinner ingredients at Whole Foods Market. Turkey, cranberry sauce, and ingredients for April's favorite sugar cookies. "Hey, why don't we try Aunt Catherine's recipe this year?" April suggested. "Aunt is really good at cooking." Catherine stopped in her tracks. Her chest tightened at her niece's pure expression of trust. In Bruce Park, snow continued to fall quietly. On a park bench, Dr. Montgomery was reviewing her latest counseling notes. "April's recovery is progressing better than expected," she explained to Michael and Diana. "Particularly, the family's approach of facing the problem together has been highly effective." "It's all thanks to you, Doctor," Michael expressed his deep gratitude. "No," Dr. Montgomery smiled gently. "This is the power of your love." Christmas Eve night. In Michael's living room stood a tall Christmas tree that nearly reached the ceiling. The fireplace fire gently illuminated the room. "Dad, please put this ornament up high." Michael carefully attached the red star that April handed him to the top of the tree. Diana prepared warm hot chocolate, while Catherine arranged homemade sugar cookies. "Everyone, gather round for a moment." Michael gathered the family in front of the fireplace. "This year has been one of great trials for all of us," he began speaking quietly. "But through these trials, we learned about true family bonds." April was snugly settled between her parents. Catherine too, while maintaining some distance, was definitely part of the family circle with her sure presence. "Dad, look! It's snowing." April ran to the window. Outside the large window, Christmas snow continued to fall quietly. Snowflakes illuminated by the light sparkled like jewels. "Let's take a photo," Diana suggested. "I'll take it," Catherine offered. "No," April shook her head. "Aunt should be in it too. We can use the timer." Catherine's eyes widened in surprise. "Is that really okay?" "Of course it is," Michael placed his hand on his sister's shoulder. "You're an important member of this family too." In front of the fireplace, the timer began its countdown. "Say cheese." The moment the flash went off, everyone's smiles were captured in an eternal moment. Outside the window, snow continued to fall gently. Greenwich's streets were completely dressed in white Christmas attire. A new family photo adorned the mantel above the fireplace. In it were even warmer smiles than before. Parents, April, and Catherine. A family bound by stronger, deeper ties after overcoming their trials. "Mom," April said, cradling her hot chocolate in both hands. "Next year's Christmas will be even more wonderful, right?" "Yes, it certainly will be." At Greenwich Medical Spa, Dr. Sanders wrote the final line in her chart after April's last examination. "April Wilson, alopecia areata cured, complete psychological recovery confirmed through family love. At Todd's Point Beach, icy waves gently lapped at the shore. On the distant horizon, the sunrise of a new year was about to emerge. In Greenwich, a hope-filled new year was quietly beginning.